There is a harmonic relationship between the Earth and our mind-body. Earth's low-frequency isoelectric field, the magnetic field of the Earth, and the isostatic field that emerges from our bodies are closely interwoven. Look, the scientists are saying this now. Our internal rhythms interact with external rhythms, affecting our balance, our REM patterns, and our mental focus. For epochs, the Schumann's resonance has provided the orchestrating pulse for life on this planet, our planetary heartbeat, which sets the tempo for health and well-being. ELF waves, frequencies, of Schumann's resonance are intimately linked with those of human brain waves. Natural or artificially induced changes in the Schumann resonance could affect the subtle and perhaps gross brain wave generation. So they're saying that, changes in the Schumann resonance can affect your brain. Liquid crystals, DNA, brain ventricles, and cellular structure, and by the way, DNA, as we're saying, as I've just said, is not as they're showing you. Now, these liquid crystals in the human body may operate as antenna for detecting and decoding such global and local ELF signals. But I say something else. Could it be the other way around? Are the mental, emotional, and psychological states of human beings causing the changes to the electromagnetism of the planet? Well, Wilhelm Reich would certainly agree. And we need to get into this, because we got it all back to front. Of course, a physical event takes place, like now they're burning with heat in New York City because the power's off. So they say, my emotional states are caused by this horrific thing that the government is doing. Damn them, I'm out of my mood. How many people think, what was going on in the collective consciousness that caused that outbreak, that set this mood? We don't think like that. It's very foreign to us. Well, of course it's foreign to us. The people who try to teach us, like Wilhelm Reich, we lock those guys up in federal stockades and have them killed. That's why we are unfamiliar with most of this stuff. So changes within the mental reactions of humans, whether induced artificially or not, may precipitate the so-called earth changes that everyone's talking about. The temple of God. For the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. Acts in the New Testament, the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands. It's heavy, so profound. This is religion. When you know yourselves, and then you will be known. And you will know that you are the sons of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you are in poverty, and you are poverty. Did not the Vedics say self-realization is required before God realization? Did not the motto at the Oracle at Delphi said, know thyself? Every agency that exists in this world that is evil stands against that knowledge of the self, and stands against the agency of the Holy Spirit. Before you can ever even approach this strange nucleated state, or join the feminine and the masculine together, and the higher man and the lower man, before you can come to that state, you must first participate in a chemical divorce. See, it's the opposite of what we have on life. First we marry, then we divorce. Mystically, it's a reverse. Divorce from what? From all that is wrong, all that is false, all that is corrupt. Until you end in your life all the things that are not true, you can forget about any type of enlightenment. Now, of course, this return to selfhood and the division, right, the divorce from all that is false, is very painful and traumatic to the ego of man, because the ego is well happy with all of that. The ego has made its home here, and now you're telling it to burn down its shack. Because look, I just built this thing. And therefore, hence, as I've been saying, the avoidance and the gimmicks and the denial and the projection and everything else that we're involved with. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will often be lonely. And you will sometimes even be frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Anyone who is forced from his own course, either through not understanding himself or through external imposition, comes into conflict with the order of the universe and suffers accordingly. So if there's stress and suffering in your life, there's a reason. As I said, those are red flags. Those are guardians coming and knocking on your door saying, hey, part of the building is crumbling. Things are off. Your suffering is your guide. Your fear, your tension, your nightmares, you can't drug it out of existence. You can't medicate it. Well, you can. But it's, that's destruction. That's annihilation, is what you're basically doing. And more so, you're producing leviathans who prey upon you by doing that. When you accept that you can do something about it, and you see this, whenever suffering or anger or pain enters into your life, you listen to it. You let it wash over you. In the movie Dune, they talk about this from the books of Frank Herbert. There's many other movies and other art forms that talk about this, that explain this concept that I'm talking about. And once upon a time, it was the teachings of all yoga and magic and religion. This is what I'm talking about. Where you say, then teach me. I won't try to escape from you. You keep pestering me. I'm not going to run away from you anymore. Tell me why you're here. And slowly, if you're silent enough, forget about third eyes, develop a third ear. And listen very calmly and quietly and still to your angst and pain and suffering and sorrow. Don't medicate it out of existence or try to silence it, because it's got an amazing story to tell you. And you see, the God force in this universe is not going to turn its volume up to be heard. You have to turn your racket down. It's always talking. It's always there, symbolically and in other forms of communication. But we have to turn our noise down, and suddenly you'll hear it there. It's always playing in the background. Do yourself a break and lay off the hunting for spiritual perfection and enlightenment. You already have it. You just don't know you have it because there's a welter of self-induced and also externally induced prohibitions and inhibitions and weights upon your shoulders, keeping you from the understanding of your own perfection. Then when you're under that weight, you're actually running around looking for truth and for gurus and for sanity. The weight is keeping you from being it already. You're not going to achieve this state from an act of doing. At least not in the way that the Western world understands the concept of doing. It's a very Zen Taoist thing. It's more like undoing. Ultimately, it's about being. It's the difference between life and lifestyle. In that mystery of releasing from your... And analyzing. We have to do what we're doing right now sitting in this room. We have to analyze the factors that are holding us down, that are chaining us. You go, look, I want to go here, and I'm blaming myself, and I'm terribly punitive to myself, and I show a lot of anger and aggression towards other people because I think they're getting in my way, and I'm not aware that I'm carrying an incredible load. I'm a bloody pack mule for somebody or something. It's like a balloon, a big hot air balloon that's chained to the ground. If you release the chains, the balloon rises of its own accord, and the natural forces take right over. But we have been duped into thinking that we're imperfect and fallen and horrible and rotten, and that you're just a sinner. But the magus does not convert sinners like these demagogues that we've been looking at. The magus, the shaman, awakens the ready. It's a totally different concept. You're already, the teacher. You're going to become the teacher. And when you're ready, the teacher awakens you. Not converting sinners for a paycheck. But we have funded and paid for teachers and churches, and we've built leviathans running around to find out what is enlightenment. We've bought into every kind of nonsense to find out what is God, what is tradition, what is enlightenment. And you know something? It might boil down to something very simple. It might boil down to simply the process of independence, as against the collectivism. It might be freeing others from the slavery to your emptiness and need. I need you, I'm empty, I need you, you're empty, you need me. We call that love. We call that relationship. When you free another from that kind of soft tyranny, maybe that is a path to enlightenment. Maybe when you're in a relationship and you say, we are in a relationship together as two individuals, and when you look like you're becoming dependent, I don't back it up. I step back. And if you fall, you fall. But I will not become your prop so that you can live in absence of selfhood, because then I'm contravening the Holy Spirit. And when you see me doing it, you likewise warn me. And when we do that, we have a healthy relationship. So we're each other's mirror, but we're also each other's teacher. And perhaps it's also this, that when you are no longer emotionally affected, and I mean negatively or positively, by what any other person does, says, or thinks about you. So give it some thought, because it might be very, very simple. And the message is this, that the mass opposition to these tyrants is relatively recent phenomenon, historically speaking. What we're doing is it's like a tyrant. Like you can imagine the tyrant is the tiger hiding in the long grass. We are slowly burning down the camouflage bit by bit. But this requires the hunter's instinct and the hunter's patience. So I don't want anybody else, I don't care what you're watching on that horror device, courtesy of the Queen, and the tremors of pain and suffering and showing you. Absolutely do not get pessimistic at all, because we are doing wonderful. The opposition has never been before. There has never been in history a true opposition to the forces that we're now discovering. Our forefathers died in factories and mines and barely lived to 25 years of age. They had no newspapers, no internet, no nothing. We have all of these things, and we have now begun to have a glimpse into the hidden establishment that's been preying over the human race for aeons of time. And this is what we need to stay focused on.